Hey folks, Quilly18 here, and welcome to some more Microsoft Flight Simulator 2020 viewer request flights. I'm hoping to do 3 flights today that should feel quite different from one another. The first flight request comes from Pedro, who has requested a flyover of Stockholm in Sweden, which sounds fantastic, because I have been to Stockholm a lot of times, because of course I do a lot of work with Paradox, and they've brought me out there a few times, and it's a lovely, lovely place. I absolutely adore Stockholm. I've even gone there for a holiday once, not just for work. I actually went and visited a place for a vacation with A Kiss for Luck and Essentia, and we had a fine and lovely time. So we're going to take off here from Arlanda Airport. So this is just outside Stockholm, basically, just to the north. This is Stockholm Airport. And what's great, and I love flying in here because there is a super awesome train from Arlanda Airport that brings you directly into Stockholm. I think it's just called the Arlanda Express. I think so. And it is really, really convenient. I've flown in and out of a lot of airports around the world, and so I really appreciate the fact that you basically just go to the ground floor, actually I guess the basement level of the airport, and you catch a train down there in a tunnel. It goes tunnel for a bit and then comes onto the surface. It's super fast, it's comfortable, it's cheap. Again, like, you know, this is not going to be a review of the world's airports, because I haven't really been, well, I've been to a good number of them, I suppose. And all airports sort of inherently suck, because it's just, you know, it's just part of the experience. But there's something really, really, really convenient about this one. Now, what would be great is if I could just follow the train tracks in. That's not gonna happen. I have to say, this is not a handcrafted airport, but there's a lot of really interesting detail into this one. Looks like the, are these called jetways? No, whatever. These ramps, these gates that can be moved over here, doesn't look like they're quite connected to the terminal building, but other than that, a lot of details, cars. Actually, they even look like 3D cars, which is interesting. We got some road traffic. Ooh, a roundabout! I like roundabouts. Wait. Is there a building shaped like an airplane there? I need to know something. Is there actually, in real life, a building shaped like an airplane? Or is that actually an airplane on the ground that was weirdly misinterpreted by the map-generating AI? If anyone in the... oh. Yeah, hold on. I got you, ATC. Yep, acknowledge change. Now leave me alone. Okay, if anyone is really familiar with Arlanda, I'm really curious, I gotta bring my flaps up, as to whether or not that is there. Okay, so we're just doing a short flight to the south, because Arlanda is just to the north of Stockholm, sort of south, I was gonna say south-southeast, but it's more like south-south-southeast, south-south is basically where we're going. And what's great about Stockholm is it really is built on the water. Now, it's like not right on like a big body of water exactly. It's built on, I don't know if you'd call them rivers or anything like that. It's more like Stockholm and the surrounding area are a big smattering of little islands. Almost kind of, but not really. Anyway, you guys can look it up. You can Bing it. Hey, if we're gonna talk about Microsoft mapping, or of course you can use Google Maps as well to sort of see what I'm talking about if you don't know. Now, this territory, this landscape is interesting because to me this looks like farmland, right? But look at this washed out color. Now, I wonder, is that actually the terrain itself, or is it possible that some of the satellite imagery and you know, plane imagery and all that kind of stuff, is it possible some of this was done in the winter and so they're using a weird texture for this? I don't know. These certainly look like farming fields, and wherever the train goes, and it might be along here because I think it does mostly follow along a road, well, at least in some parts. Look at this lake. Ah, gorgeous. You know, you definitely see like open fields, trees, open fields, trees, open fields, trees, and that certainly seems like what we're getting over here. Now, I don't think that's Stockholm. I would be kind of surprised if we were there already. Yeah, indeed. Yeah, we definitely have to go down a fair bit further south, although I am drifting southwest, where really I want to go kind of southeasterly. Now, this over here, unless I am wrong, and I'm never wrong, I believe this might be the E4 motorway. Just looking on the Google Maps. Again, I'm gonna keep upsetting some people at Microsoft, but you know, whatever, man. We all have our tools of choice. I think this is the E4. highway, or maybe the E's for expressway, or maybe for some Swedish word I don't really know. But I think just in the distance over here is probably Stockholm. So let me go ahead. I'm going to toggle on some time acceleration. We'll go ahead and level out a little bit. 5,000 feet is plenty high. This is very hard to do at like 4 times speed. But let's see what we can do. Now see, there's some island stuff over there. I would not be surprised if we are not darned close. Darned close! So it's possible right over here. This might be Rosersberg? I think that might be the case. Barkarby Airport. I don't see Barkarby just on the map, so I don't know if it's a town name or anything like that. I still have, and especially when we're going ×4 speed here, I still have the airframe stress limits turned off, because I suspect we're going to be breaking some of those in here. Now, we should be... some of these islands, are they mostly right? Well, let's slow this down. This... I gotta remember, I'm looking downwards. I don't know if this is the name of it. This, to me, based on the map, looks like it might be Ledingo or something like that, which would definitely make this area Stockholmy, I think. Looks like it could have just taken off from this Bromma airport, which is really nice. Oh! Someone emailed me about our last video, that Cub Field, whatever it's called, Super Cub Field, when we were outside of, was it Portland, Maine? I think so. Apparently it may have used to have been an airfield, and it has since been decommissioned and has been built over, which is why I didn't actually see an actual landing strip. Okay, we're gonna dive bomb here. Look out for the barber pole tape. Very bad stuff. We're gonna be okay here because I've got my limits turned off, so it's gonna be fine. Although the airplane's still gonna yell at me for overspeeding. So yeah, it may have been decommissioned airstrip that now people have been building over, which is why there are kind of buildings in the way. All right, now I'm not an expert at spotting Stockholm from the air, but I think this here might be Gamla Stan. Yeah, I'm looking at the map, but of course we're a little bit inverted map-wise. So I think Gamla Stan right over here, and that's where we're flying to, if everything's gone. So if I recall correctly, I think Gamla Stan just means something like Old Town or something like that, and it is like the pretty area of Stockholm, if I'm vaguely correct about anything like that. And this does not look right. This does not look right. I think I'm on the wrong... Ah! There it is. I'm 100% sure it's this one over here. So, I don't know what that chunk was, but it's further west. Stora Essingen. I think we were just seeing some of those indicators. That's probably what that is. Okay. So, Gamla Stan right over here. Yeah. Because here's the rail track. Okay, so when you take the train from the airport, here's the rail track right over here. And this is all like sort of like metro stuff. Like it's going to bring us to a station, but then it's all like just metro type connections, right? Some above ground, some below ground. It goes in and out. But I think right over here is basically kind of the main station that you would generally arrive at. And then from there, you've got, I mean, it's hard to tell like a downtown Stockholm, because it's got a few kind of downtowny feeling places. But here, I mean, lots of shopping, lots of hotels, things like that. And the Royal Palace is, yeah, right over here. Yeah, okay. So Gamla Stan, Old Town, gorgeous, just 100% beautiful. Great shops, great restaurants, some cool Viking bars. Shout out to Svartatunen or whatever, the Sixth Barrel. Sorry, my Swedish is not good. As well as Eifer. But this over here, I believe this is the Royal Palace, and underneath the Royal Palace is the Royal Armory / museum now. And that is the very first trip I ever did for work, was for a press preview of EU4 multiplayer event with some press people and a couple of YouTubers, basically. And that was it. And that was one of the very first things. I think I had about 60,000 subscribers then. And it was still really new, I think, for companies to really fly out a lot of, like, YouTube-type people. And we played in a big EU4 multiplayer game. Johan destroyed me. I played as Muscovy. He played as, I don't know, one of the hordes or something like that. and I absolutely got spanked. Turns out, when you've never played the game before and you're right next to one of the devs, you're gonna have a bit of a hard time, but it was a wonderful experience. I mean, to be in the Swedish Royal Armory playing EU4, like, I was like, hold on, maybe I have a really cool life all of a sudden. I was still working full-time at the time. YouTube was just a random little side gig, but yeah. There you go, Gumlistan. Now, is this the island here with a certain boat? Now, I'm not talking about the boat that appears to be parked over there. Is this the island with the Vasa? Because I feel like it's Gumlistan, it's sort of right next to it. No, you know what? I think it's a little further. I think it's over here. I think one of these buildings here is the Vasa Museum. I think that might be the case. And there's that, and then up the hill over here, is this where there's like a big kind of park, like combination kind of pioneer village, petting zoo kind of park place? Hold on, where is my map? Oh, okay, I'm doing this on the other screen. Well, apparently the ABBA Museum is over here. The Vasa Museum, the ABBA Museum. Skansen, that's what it is. It's called Skansen, right? And that is what it is over here. It's this really cool sort of, yeah, old-timey pioneer village with some animals, lots of cultural information. It's wonderful. And if you were wondering where the Paradox offices are, now they've moved. I think they've moved 3 times now since I first came. Come on, to the Swedish lands. Now I think the first time I visited their office, they were up over here. But then they moved onto this bigger island here-ish, and I feel like their offices, and I don't know if that's still their current offices or not, and I think they're quite close to, is it Dice? I think so. Somewhere over in this area. Unless I am wrong, and I'm never wrong. I think it's somewhere over this area here. I'm pretty sure. Yeah, I think I remember this sort of open plaza. Well, big commercial area. Again, more shopping, but also, I think, more office buildings over here. And they'd be in a taller building. It could be not the one that's sort of a hexagon. It could be that one over there. Again, I'm not sure if that's actually their office, because I think they moved again last year, or about a year and a half ago or something. So I actually don't know where they are now. Okay, I could tell you all kinds of stories about Stockholm and my visits there, but I got other things I need to do in this video. So we're going to pop out, and we're going to go somewhere pretty substantially different. So thank you very much, Pedro, for bringing it up. Actually, and I don't think Pedro was the only person who sent in a request for Stockholm. So, sorry, I should have done a search through my email and for everyone who mentioned it, just to give a shoot it, because I know there was a bunch. This just happened to be the email I pulled up for today as a reference. Now, the next airport I want to do is somewhere I have never been, but I'm quite excited. Is that not the code? That is the code. Okay, let's try Amman, Jordan. There it is. When I Google it, I must have looked at a wrong inch. Must have been the wrong code. Sometimes like there's multiple standards for codes and things, or I grabbed, yeah, that must have been it. I must have grabbed the wrong code information for Queen Alia International Airport in Amman, Jordan. So I'm gonna stick with the same aircraft. We'll start on the runway. Sure, why not? We'll do the same aircraft. I really like this guy. He's got a pretty good top speed, so he turns out to be a decent plane to do these little tours. I think the cruising speed is somewhere around 171, I think it says on the main menu, which is for the prop planes. For the pure prop planes, might actually be the highest. I'm not sure. I'd have to double check. I'm not counting the turboprops, but for the pure prop planes, that might be the highest. Of course, there's also some more acrobatic planes and things for different maneuvers. That'll be an interesting one. After this video, I might do a little bit more sort of out in the wilderness stuff. Someone brought up doing like the Grand Canyon. That sounds pretty interesting. We could sort of fly, you know, maybe within the canyon, maybe from one end to another. I'm not sure. So this is going to feel a wee bit different than Stockholm. By the way, I do think I'm flying with live weather and live time, we kind of lucked out on the weather being really nice in both places. Now, from this airport, hold on, I have the map open. I want to go basically directly north to fly over Amman, which I have no idea if that's how it's pronounced. Probably not, because if I'm trying to say something in a certain way, it's almost certainly wrong. So let me preemptively apologize for that. Go, 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 little plane, go, you can do it. Look how washed out the sky is. Although, again, if I move my camera up, it'll change the lighting a little bit, so everything else darkens, and if I do this, it's overexposed over there. I really like that sort of dynamic lighting adjustment based on your point of view. Dynamic, I suppose, exposure? That sounds probably more correct. So it's awfully flat here. All right, so we're facing west, so we're going to be taking a right turn as soon as we take off. Oops, speaking of which, let me go ahead and do that. That was a little bit of an unsteady takeoff. Mobby. All right, you're up. And let's go ahead and make our right-handed turn right away to face north. This segment is brought to you by all the people who want to see more in-cockpit flying, which, again, I don't think really applies to the general aviation sort of terrain tour guide kind of mode. Again, at some point we'll do a big airliner thing, and it's all going to be pushing buttons in the cockpit and looking at computer screens. Looking at computer screens within a computer screen. Ooh, it is dry here. My. Again, some of it might depend a little bit on, you know, what season, let's gear up or flap up, what season the imagery was made in. But I suspect Jordan's a little drier, right? A little more arid. I don't know what the average rainfall is. It could be kind of interesting to actually look at some of that when we do some of these and use that as a bit of a judge. Wow, we are climbing fast. Thank you. Goodbye.
Queen Elliot Tower Diamond Alpha Sierra X-Ray Golf Sierra frequency change.
Smattering of build. I'm thinking this is sort of a farming area. This to me looks like when I play Farming Simulator or any of those types of games, or make rural areas in something like City Skyline, right? So you've got the fields here, and then you've got some barns, some storage, some warehouses for the machinery. Oh, we got some more fields there. This to me looks like maybe almost an artificially made lagoon or an expanded one or just a squared off one. Just because lakes aren't going to form squares naturally, I wouldn't think. So in theory, this is Amman. So it's what, A-M-M-A-N? A-M-M-A-N. Fly over here. Now, where's the, I'm curious about the Wikipedia page for this. Amman, Jordan. Amman. The capital and largest city of Jordan, and the country's economic, political, and cultural center with a population of 4 million. That is a big city. Holy cow. It's the largest city in the Levant region, 5th largest city in the Arab world. It's a tourist destination. Earliest evidence of settlement in Amman is a Neolithic site known as An Ghazal, where some of the oldest human statues ever found dating to 7200 BC were uncovered. Seriously? Huh. Now, somewhere in here, there is a citadel, which I can see on the map. Now, are we going to be able to spot it from here? Airport there. We really don't have far to go. We're definitely entering city kind of area. It looks like, to me, maybe an industrial, commercial area over here. Again, it looks a lot like a lot of warehouses and things, which is what I am judging that on. Let me bring down the in-game volume a bit. I'm worried that the engine sounds might be a scooch too loud. Okay, let's go ahead and level off a little bit, if we could, please. The city's getting bigger over here. You know what I should do? I should change my view to the satellite view, because I might be able to follow along a little bit more. Sorry, on my Google Maps. Or my generic preferred mapping software. Oh, we're still climbing like crazy. Let's come down a little bit. So, Citadel should be trying to look for roads. There's a big sort of ring highway around Amman. If I can somehow spot that, that would be helpful. Now, I don't think it's over. I think it's going to be more over here. So I think we've got a little ways to go. Of course, I'm still climbing because, I'm not paying attention to my instruments here, which is also meaning our horizontal speed's a little slower. Yeah, let's gentle descend wouldn't be bad. Just giving it a little bit of trim here. A little bit more. Nose down, nose down, nose down. And trim to compensate. Okay, maybe nose down a little too much, but... I think we are... I don't have my flaps down. No, everything is good. Okay, and a slight descent. All right, well, it definitely feels like the city is coming up in the distance. Got a bit of a haze. Again, we're running in real-time, real weather, so it's clear, although there's some haze in the air, reducing visibility. Look at the glint off our engines here. How lovely is that? All right, okay, definitely sort of city center proper. Marca International, so I could have taken off from there to be a little closer. Ooh, it's not all flat. There's definitely some curvature here, which is interesting because the roads are sort of following along some of these ravines over here. I wonder if they were carved out that way for the roads, or if the roads went along it because it happened to have, you know, sort of a little bit more even. I don't know. Got a track and field area, maybe a soccer pitch kind of thing. Wow! This is a city. Look at this. I mean, 4 million people. And it doesn't feel like there's a lot of sort of mega skyscraper construction. So, I mean, it looks like a lot of like dense low-rise buildings, which, oh my God, that's so many buildings and spread out. This would be a very, very intimidating town to try to just visit and wander around in. I mean, I'm sure that, you know, if you're coming as a tourist, or you know, there's only certain areas you're mostly going to focus on, but still. Now, I feel like somewhere, the Citadel, to me, this sort of looks like maybe that kind of a ring highway, so I would think the Citadel would be somewhere over here, but I don't think this is a handcrafted map area, so I don't expect there to be a custom building for it. There are some building shapes that stand out a little bit. Look at how much is going on here. Let's get a little closer. At first I thought, oh, maybe this thing is actually a stand-in for something Citadel-like, but no, that's not what it feels like. I wouldn't be able to guess where it is. Now this, again, this feels very like City Skylines, but even more high density. There was a terrible series of games like Cities XL. Do not buy Cities XL or any of its variants. They're terribly optimized, lags like crazy, memory leaks. It's abomination. But one of the things that I always liked about it is that it actually did cities that look like this a lot more. Because you weren't really doing zoning the same way you would do in City Skylines or even SimCity or anything like that. You were sort of really delineating larger areas, and the buildings, I would feel, came out a lot like this. Look at the train change over here too. Like, it feels like the city was built right up to the edge of some hills here, and then it just stops. You get this sharp delineation, and very swooshy, swirly terrain. I'm assuming this is a little bit of a almost of like a terraced feel is what's going on here. I wish I knew more about the area, but honestly, though, it's really hard. Good God, this is a huge city. Screenshot. Hang on. I was looking through the options for a button to hide the UI, and I couldn't find anything under hide or HUD or UI. So I'm sure there is one, or it'll be clarified later or added later, but I still don't know what it is. So toggling that view is still the best way to do it. But yeah, even if I knew the city better, it's really hard to spot identifying landmarks in this because it's not being broken up by, say, rivers, right? You can't be like, okay, I'll follow down the river and then see a big intersection and figure out where I am. Now, I'm assuming this is not a handcrafted area either, and so you might miss out on some key landmarks, like specific buildings that might be easy to spot, right? Like the Citadel, wherever it might be, or, you know, if it has distinctive, say, if it has a distinctive skyscraper like the Shard or the Gherkin or something like that, you know what I mean? It might be a little bit easier to do it, but even with all that, the way this is sort of spread across flat geometry, it's really hard to figure out where we are from the sky. All right, that's a look at Jordan. The next flight I'm going to do, it's probably going to be a short one, because where we're going is a very, very tiny area. So it was Loe, who had requested a flight from over Amman, Jordan, so thank you very much for that. And the next request is from Garrett, who has a very, very interesting request for an area that I'm sure a lot of you guys don't really know. And I mean, I've certainly never been there. But we are going to go to Iqaluit in Nunavut, which is a territory of Canada way up in the north. Nunavut, so it used to be part of the Northwest Territories, and it got split off to Nunavut, occupies about 20% of Canada's land. About 20% of Canada's land is part of Nunavut, and it's got a total population of about 50,000 people or so. It is really far north, really sparsely populated. The capital is Iqaluit, and I'm trying to remember, and I don't remember, so I'm going to bring up the Wikipedia page for it. For its population, 7,000 people, nearly 8,000 people. Nearly 8,000 people, about 7,000 apparently in the center itself. Now, what's interesting, we are really, really far north. We're quite high up on the globe. And one of the questions that's kind of important here to ask is, how well is it modeled so far up? Again, we've mentioned the fact, let's cancel the parking brake, throttle up and go, that the idea of satellite imagery, look at the water stains and things on the runway. I didn't really notice this before. There's actually a lot of detail to the runway. Right. Oh, as mentioned before, a lot of what we think of as satellite imagery, right, on your Bing Maps or Google Maps or whatever, the highest quality areas, aren't really from satellite photos, because there is a resolution limitation over there. A lot of the areas with the best quality on those mapping softwares are actually done by plane photography. So, a lot of the cities and things like that, you wouldn't have the same level of detail everywhere. Although satellite imagery is freakishly good, the plane photography is the really, really high quality stuff. And so whether or not plane photography over here has been made will be an interesting question. In addition to that is, how many satellite passes it get. Does it get the high resolution satellite passes? I don't know. Now, I had my map up and then I forgot it. So Iqaluit Airport, I'm basically flying just southeast, so right over here. Yeah, here's Iqaluit. So, can we get some interesting stats about this? Geography, climate, tundra climate over here, yeah. City features very long, cold winters and brief, cool summers. Average monthly temperatures are below freezing for 8 months out of the year. And yeah, you're not going to see a lot of greenery up here. You're not going to see a lot of greenery in any way whatsoever. I'm trying to remember. I think some time ago, does it look like a plateau with some water on top and here? I think, you know what I bet you this is? I bet you this is satellite imagery seeing ice and misinterpreting things. Because there's no way this is a lake. There's no way this is supposed to be water. This is satellites, catching shiny reflection of frozen ice and being like, well, this must be a lake, right? It's at the top of all these things. All the water would flow right off. Haha, that's funny. It doesn't know what to do with the terrain here because it's so bonkers. Oh, look, see over here too. Oh, this entertains me so much. I feel like to do this a little bit better, what we really need to do is go to some sort of winter mode. I mean, it's August right now, so it wouldn't really be like this. How do I kill the precipitation? I want like snow on the ground, which I think is mostly temperature settings. Precipitation. There we go. Stop that. And what I'm going to do is remove this cloud layer. How do I do that? I don't know. Let's just bring it way up. There, done. All right, bit of a oh, no, but my winter went away. My snow on the ground went away. Huh. What if I say, few clouds, hold on, and turn off live time and the dates. If I send us January and then bring down the temperature. I still don't know how to just summon the snow. I don't know. Well, I have to say, this nice puffy cloud is there. Anyway, there's really not going to be much to show here because, first of all, there's not much of a town. It's pretty small. Did I finish my thought? I think some time ago, Stephen Fry did a series where he drove around like North America in a London black cab, And I think, if I'm remembering the correct show, I think he came to Iqaluit, or it may have been somewhere else similar, but I think it was here, and he acted as an actual taxi driver there. Again, I might be getting confused between, like, a bunch of different shows. Yeah, we're overspeeding like crazy, but that's fine. I might be combining 3 different shows together. I'm not sure. But, but if it is, whatever it is, and maybe someone in the comments will be able to clarify, it will give you a little bit of a feel for how it looks here. Also, I was going to say the Top Gear Polar Special, the North Pole Special. I don't think they start from Iqaluit. I think they do start in Nunavut somewhere, but not here. There's a funny song. I think it's by the Arrogant Worms, which is a Canadian comedy band, about Nunavut, and or Nunavut, which is another way to pronounce it. And their joke in the song, which I love, is 20% of Canada's land is also Nunavut. Listen, in Canada, there's not a lot to talk about, so we make very, very, very terrible jokes. But there you go. And we are well above, like, yeah, this is proper tundra area over here. This is the sort of place I've actually met people who have lived in Nunavut and specifically in Iqaluit before, and stories of like, yeah, if you go for a walk, out in sort of the countryside, you bring a gun in case of a polar bear. It's just you just bring a gun in case of a polar bear, because that's just like these shush, stop blonking at me. There you go. I should kill the throttle though if I'm gonna overspeed like this. I am really tickled by all these lakes on top of hills. Because as a programmer, it's like, this is so interesting to me, this little sort of glitched effect. Now, I'm curious, actually, the landscape over here looks really cool and like really high textured details. Or high detailed textures. One of those. Huh. Look at that. That actually looks really nice. But I'm wondering if, because again, we've talked about this in previous videos, how, because this is all streamed content from the internet, you can see another dividing line here from probably different satellite passes. Then they can update the map. In fact, I'm betting we went from this is a higher resolution pass to maybe a lower one. Or maybe just a different time of year, actually. There's plenty of details. Of course, I have to remember, what I'm seeing on the ground here is not the actual textures from Bing Maps. It's not the actual satellite textures. It's textures sitting on our computer that are being applied because of the algorithm that reads the map that says put this texture here and things. So there's not going to be a quality difference in the texture. There's just a difference in what texture is being applied because of the scan difference. But yeah, I'm curious as to whether they'll be updating the cloud version of the map before the actual release or how soon after, because they have talked about it. It's something they can do. It requires a big server farm, like they said, something like over 1,000 servers, a couple of weeks to do, but they will be able to periodically update the map as new mapping data comes in, but also as they tweak their AI. And this might be one area that where, honestly, I'm betting some people have flown over, because I know there are some reports of other people who have flown, far above the Arctic Circle, and have reported a couple of weird behaviors here and there. So especially with these things, I'm willing to bet there'll be an AI tweak of some of the systems, and at some point there'll be a rescan. And this will stop being these cool lakes on top of mountains, which does make me a little bit sad because this is so funny. But I'm 100% willing to bet it has to do with ice and snow reflection being misinterpreted, which is really, really entertaining. Well, there you go. I think we did 3 fairly different tours, right? We did a big northern city, Stockholm, although, again, like nowhere close to Jordan. Or Amman, which is a much bigger city and feels like a much bigger city. The thing about Stockholm, I mean, it's pretty significant. This is pretty, but it doesn't feel like a very big city, and I don't think the population is anywhere close. What is population of Stockholm? Is just under 1,975,000. So just under 1 million versus the 4 million of Jordan or of Amman, and then in addition to that, Stockholm is all broken up by the rivers and into little islands and things. So yeah, it makes it feel considerably different. And then here we are I was gonna say in the middle of nowhere. No, we're north nowhere. God, this lighting right here is so pretty. Oh, so gorgeous. And you know what's coming. Screenshot. Actually, let me roll the plane this way. The sun is just setting. Oh. Maybe one with some instruments over here. There we go. That looks really nice. Excellent. All right, I got my screenshots, you guys. All is right in the world. And then, yeah, so we're north nowhere over here. in Iqaluit. But shout out to the people. So that was Pedro, Loe, and Garrett with some great suggestions over here. Now, I do have a mailbox overfull with suggestions. Over 300 emails by itself, countless YouTube comments, tons of tweets, tons of Facebook messages. So at this point, I'm going to have to say, I think the queue is full, you guys. So if you send anything else, I suspect it might be very difficult to impossible to ever get to it. So I've got enough material here to make a video a day for months. So thank you very much for all those, and I'll certainly be looking to do more of these videos in the future. Thanks for watching, folks. See you next time. Bye-bye.